All right. So first of all, I just want to say welcome to everybody. And today is actually a really special lesson in your leadership journey. It's actually a major turning point because previously in weeks 1 and 2, we were focused on internal clarity, your mindset, your self-awareness, your identity. Today, however, we shift from intention to execution. Okay, so hence why we've got turn your habits into your secret weapon and behavior, identity, and credibility, because that's the crux of what we're going to do today. All right, so leadership is not built on what you intend to do, it's built on what you repeat. Your repeated behaviors become your leadership identity, whether you choose them intentionally or not. Okay, it's what's on display every minute of the day, every second of the day is on display either to you or to the people around you. All right, so just be aware of that. So what I want you to do in the chat, type one word that describes your current daily habits. Don't overthink it, just the first honest words that come to mind. Kids. Yep.
Repeat the question for me.
Yep. 1 sec. So, in the chat, type one word that describes your current daily habits. Don't overthink it, just the first honest word that comes to mind. All right. So, Kendra, you've got to keep hearing the word chilling, energy mother, Kenya visualizing. All right. So whatever your word is, okay, I'm not going to go into the, digging into the depths of them. Whatever your word is, that's a representation of where you see yourself in regard to your daily habits, okay? Because they shape, hard from Brie, they shape your environment and your thinking, all right? So whatever your word is, you might think about this afterwards and you go, oh, well, actually, my habits are structured, or my habits are messy, or my habits are inconsistent, or I'm actually disciplined with my habits. Whatever represents you in your habits, today is about intentionally shaping the habits that create your leadership credibility. All right. So here's what we're going to learn today. Upgrade leadership language, identify destructive habits, and design a habit stack. These outcomes directly feed into your reflection log and your leadership action plan later in the course. Everything you build today becomes accessible evidence, okay? And we don't need to submit these today. I'll talk about all that at the end, okay? So why habits matter? You can see on the screen, leadership equals repeated behaviour. People trust patterns, not promises. Leadership is built on repeated behaviour, not personality, not charisma. Although, don't get me wrong, those parts play a part of it, but they're not the things that people see and consider about you from a leadership perspective. It's not motivation. Your team learns who you are by observing your patterns. So what we want to do is, if your leadership is not where you want it to be, then we need to reframe your leadership identity. So the real question isn't, who do I want to be as a leader? The real question is, what behaviors do I want to be known for? So basically all habits follow a routine. Okay, they follow the same pattern, which is there's a trigger. So if something happens in your life, okay, your habit will kick in and you'll deal with that situation in the routine that's running in your head, which will then produce the reward from applying the routine. Okay, that's fundamentally how your mind will work through a situation. It's just, I've got to do something because this happened, and then I've got to do it because there's a reward of some sort at the end of that. So once that loop is established, it becomes automatic. You're not actually thinking about it. So when you think about that, when you think about your upbringing and the environment that you've grown up in, the environment that you're in now, the people that have impacted you both positively and negatively in your life, they've created habits, and you've accepted those habits as a truth for yourself. All right. So what I want to do, just want to run a quick poll and put your answers in the chat. What's harder for you? Starting a new habit or sustaining one long-term one? So just put your answers in the chat. Okay. All right. So we've got a mix of starting a new one and continuing a long-term one. So no matter which option you chose, the key insight is people overestimate motivation and underestimate systems. Today is about building leadership systems. Okay. So let's have a look at sabotage language. Now, a lot of this is very similar to what we've talked about the other week, okay, and also what Heather's talked about reframing language. So, but what we're talking about today is actually making it happen. We're not talking about inside our head and what we're thinking. We're talking about making a choice in the language that we use. So language is your first leadership habit. Weak language weakens trust before a language even happens. So just these are little examples of what I'm talking about. So just listen to these two versions and notice your instinctive reaction. So the first one is, I'll try to get to that tomorrow. Or I'll try to get that to you tomorrow. The next one is, you'll have this by 3 p.m. If anything changes, I'll notify you before midday. So in the chat, type A or B. Which one would you trust more as a leader? Yeah. I mean, when you're listening to that, it's pretty obvious. But if you think about that from your behavior and your language to the people around you and your own terminologies that you use, then you can start to identify the language that is actually sabotaging you in the perception of those around you. So if you ever use, words like tomorrow, I'll get that to you tomorrow, or I'll try, or I should be able to do that, it's coming from a lower order of language. And so what leaders do is they'll give timelines and guidelines of when they will do things. So for example, in the second one, by 3 p.m. tomorrow. That is, to the listener, something to hold the person to account to. All right. And if you actually meet the deadline, then your perception from that other person is somebody that will stand by their word. Okay. The key thing is we all have difficulties. There's always things that come up that will prevent us from achieving something that we've set a deadline to. But the key thing around leadership is when you acknowledge that that's going to happen. I mean, you're going to try your best to get there, but sometimes life will get in the way. And so if anything changes, you need to know and have the fortitude to say, you know what, I'm not going to be able to do this because of this way. But rather than saying, you can give a reason, but what you can do is you can say to them, look, there's some issues with the schedule. This has occurred, and I'm letting you know now. But give them a time that you're going to do that by if something occurs. Okay, so the difference in language isn't about personality. It's the language itself. It is critical. Okay, so sabotage language builds escape routes. Leadership language creates psychological safety and accountability. That's the key differences between the two. Yeah, Bree, you're right. Make it concrete. All right. So let's have a look at language upgrade. So what I want you to do is just on a piece of paper, I want you to identify 3 weak phrases, and then we'll rewrite them with leadership voice. All right, so we're going to upgrade your leadership language. I forgot to give you the leadership book, so what you can do is just write down on a piece of paper, or if you're using a computer, do it on your computer. 3 sabotage phrases you actually use. It's things like I'll try, I didn't have time, I forgot, maybe later. The key here is brutal honesty. Now, we don't have to share this in the on the chat. Just write them down on a notepad or notepad on a computer or some sort of device. Okay. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Give me a 1 in the chat when you've done that. I can see a fair few have already completed. So if you're still working on it, that's okay. What I want you to do now is rewrite each phrase using clear, accountable, time-bound leadership language. And once again, put a 1 in the chat or put a 2 in the chat when that is done. Thank you, Brandon. Hey, Super Joe. Welcome. So, Jay, just to bring you up to speed, we're talking about language upgrades for leadership purposes. Okay, so what I've asked the team to do is write down 3 sabotage phrases you actually use. Things like I'll try, I didn't have time, I forgot, maybe later. The key here is brutal honesty. Okay, so, and then I've asked them to rewrite each phrase using clear, accountable, time-bound leadership language. Okay, so the guys and the team is actually in that process right now. So if you want to start doing that, either write it down on a piece of paper, I know, old school, or on your computer or your device. Remember, team, put a 2 in the chat when that is complete. Pranir, are you doing the upgrade language activity? So the first part is write down 3 sabotage phrases you actually use. Things like I'll try. Did you hear? I didn't have time. I forgot. Maybe later. And remember, be brutally honest with yourself. Yeah, absolutely, 100%, Jay. Okay, team, you should be wrapping those up now. If you're overthinking it, please stop. Just write what comes to mind. It's okay. Because what I want to do now is I want to do a little bit of an experiment with how the classroom actually works, because I want you to pair up. Because you're going to have a conversation with each other. Okay. Now, I don't want this space here to be over, like lots of people talking in the same space. But what you can see on the left-hand side, you can see desk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And then there's one down the bottom, okay? Now, what I'd like, how many we've got? We've got 12, so there should be 2 per table on the left-hand side. So can you make your way, what I would like you to do, can I have 2 people just go to one of the tables and make sure you can communicate with each other? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And I
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right, I'm going to just head back to the other room because
Okay,
they're not quite getting it. Team, we need to move to, you pair up, choose a desk on the left-hand side in the classroom, and you're going to have a conversation with each other. And what I want you to do is share with your partner the original phrase, so the sabotage phrase, then your upgraded version, and where you'll apply it this week, the upgraded, okay? So please make your way to a desk on the left-hand side, numbers 1, 2, and 3, just 2 people per desk. VIP, I'll bring you up to speed in a minute, mate. I just want to get the team to do this. Find a partner, or just choose a table and go and sit at the table. You need to sit at the table to be able to hear the other person. Does anybody have any problems hearing what I'm saying? Because I can still see a few people in this room who are who haven't moved. So this is also testing whether you're actually in attendance and listening. So VIP, just hang here, mate. For those that haven't moved to a table, so Bree, could you go to table 1, please? VIP, can you come back into the main classroom?
Sorry, I'm having connection problems. What did you say?
Yeah, I saw you dropped out. I'm trying to get people, like we've got 6 people over there, but Bree, can you link up with Energy on a table in Energy and Bree, could you guys go to table 1? That's table 1. So who's that? Daniel. Daniel, can you hear me? Okay. VIP, this lesson's about sabotage language. Actually, I'll come over so I'm not doing that to everyone. Daniel and VIP, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent. So this lesson is about taking the mental stuff that we've done in the last 2 weeks and starting to reshape our language around leadership. So what I've asked the team to do, and there was a bit more to it than that, but what I've asked the team to do is write down 3 sabotage phrases that you actually use, like I'll try, I didn't have time, I forgot, maybe later, but be brutally honest with yourself. Now, and then I've asked them to upgrade that language to rewrite each phrase using clear, accountable, time-bound language. Okay, and now what the team are doing is sharing that upgrade language with a partner in the broadcast rooms. Okay. Any questions on that?
So basically, what you're saying is, like when you put stuff off, you be like, "I'll do it later."
Yeah,
So, what it basically you're trying to change that wording to being like proactive.
correct. Yeah, so basically what it's doing is if you audit yourself and you go, this is the type of language that I generally use, and that's not language that is clear, accountable, and time bound, then what happens is if you use other type of language, it gives you an opportunity to. It's like a get out of jail clause, all right? Because you're not committing, all right. And the reason that's important is because when leaders speak, it is clear, it is concise, and they generally have some sort of accountability within their language. So, for example, and so, like let's say you're working on your LLC, okay, and internally you say, "Yeah, I've got to get it done. I got to get it done. I need to get this done," as opposed to by Friday I will have ABC of the plan done. All right, and this is just an internal dialogue, okay. And what you say is, no matter what, I will have it done by then, because you're going to hold yourself accountable to do that. You know, now that'll do two things. What it'll do is it'll create the impetus that you need because you've made a decision to do it by that time. And if you don't, okay, you'll come up with excuses. And those excuses are an opportunity to understand your behavior and your way of thinking so that you can remodel it and reframe it to align with what you're trying to achieve. When you're dealing with other people, let's say you bought a business and you said, "Hey, we're going to apply GovCon to this business," okay, and you'll say, if you're being a bit wishy-washy with it, a bit of a weak leader, then you will go, "Look, we should have this done by then," okay, is what I'm expecting. All right, you might say something like that because it doesn't hold you to account. Now, what that does for the people who are listening to what you're in that company, they go, "This guy's useless," all right, or I don't trust this guy. He's not really, yeah, no problem, Daniel. I'm not really buying into what he's saying. Whereas opposed to if you say, by this time, I'm going to have 30% of this application of GovCon completed for this company, and the results of that will be you guys will start to see this. Okay, so that's why language in leadership is critical, and understanding your language is so important. And that's what this lesson's about, is reshaping some of that. All right, I'm going to ask the team to come back in. You guys got any questions before I continue?
No, I'm all good.
All right, mate. Cheers. All right, team. Just start wrapping up your conversations, and let's come back into the main classroom. Team, I'm going to move into the centre of the room where that little whiteboard is, because I want to be able to hear your responses. And so, yeah, if you can just move, don't worry about the chairs, just group huddle around that whiteboard, and then we can have a conversation. Let me just get into that centre spot just there. Yep. All right. Group huddle, team. All right, team, I'm going to move on. So you've just had a conversation with each other. Looked like I could see there's a fair bit of chat going on, which is awesome. Thank you. So what I want you to do is either come up on mic or in the chat, tell me of your phrases that you used, which upgrade phrase felt the most uncomfortable and why?
You said which phrase felt the most uncomfortable?
Yes.
Oh, I would say I forgot is the most uncomfortable one.
And why is that?
I don't really have a good rephrase for it. I mean, I forgot. I don't really know how to rephrase that.
All right. Was there any suggestions from your partner?
It was basically the same. We were on the same when it came to that.
All right. So one way you could. So how if you're forgetting, how would you normally commit to not forgetting?
Yeah, I usually put things in my calendar and add an alert to it to remind me.
Yeah. But if you forget to do that, that becomes a problem, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's what we were saying. I'm sorry. I was.
That's all right.
But that's exactly what we were saying. Where I'm sorry. One second.
Keep going, energy. No, it's good.
No, but we were just saying the same thing of like sometimes if you forget, like how do you like we were saying there was one that was like well, I forgot to prioritize. It's like, well, that's not the best thing to say to a person, I feel. So it would just be being a lot more mindful to like write things down and so that you don't forget, and like creating some form of system maybe to not forget forget the next time.
That is the key. Okay. But there's a preface to that in that you can actually commit a habit. You can commit to yourself to have a habit to actually write down things you need to commit to. If you made promises to people that you're going to do something, then you can make that a habit that you actually write it down. Okay. In a way. So, for example, somebody says to you something, hey, you make a habit of, got it, let me just put it into my calendar. So you do it right there and then. All right. Now, if you're not doing it, then you haven't developed the habit of doing that. And where you start with that is with a goal, with a mantra, with an idea that I'm going to commit to that. Welcome, Kiana and the family. It's all good. So you commit to the ideal that you every time you've got something that you've got to commit to, you're going to put it in a calendar of some sort with a reminder, and you do it there and then. Okay, so for some people that may take a little bit of time to develop that habit, but it's a habit that must be developed. All right, so you need to come up with an idea in your mind that you will commit to that, and then reinforce that with the language and reinforce that with the behavior of actually starting to do that. And when you fail to do that, go, oh shit, I failed. I forgot to do that. But then go, right, I'm back on track now and I'm recommitting. It's also an opportunity to learn about, well, why did I forget? So these are the questions that you've got to ask yourself to develop yourself. All right. And then work out a system that works for you. And we're going to be touching on that a little bit. Okay. Anybody else?
Are we sharing all three, Professor?
No, just one. One that felt most uncomfortable and why.
For me, my word was sure. And that was the uncomfortable part about it. Felt more leaning towards being willing to change my stance because I didn't think about it before I said it. When it came to agreeing or not agreeing to something, I just said sure. And now I will change that indefinitely to that works for me. Here's my plan. And it feels a lot different.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of times, sure is an automatic response for people pleasers. And so it can get you in problem because you'll just say sure automatically without confirming your availability, your ability, and availability. So 3 abilities there, all right, to actually achieve the thing that you've said sure to. Okay, so once again, this is a habit that you have, and reframing it like you've done is a good start. Okay, but we need to turn these things into habits. Okay. One more, either in chat or on mic. All right, I'll wrap that part up. I won't draw it out any longer. All right, let's move on. Yeah, no problem, Bree. It's okay. All good, mate. Okay, so now let's shift from language to behavior. There are habits that quietly damage leadership credibility. So we've got interrupting, procrastination, avoiding behaviors, avoiding difficult conversations, being consistently late, procrastinating on important decisions, checking your phone while someone is speaking. Now, these seem small, but they send big signals. Now, I don't know whether you guys have done these things or not, and that's okay. All right, but becoming aware of them is what's important. So what I want you to do in the chat, type one small habit you've seen in a leader that had a big negative impact. That's a good one, Brandon. So Brandon, while all of the others are thinking about one small habit they've seen in a leader that had a big negative impact, why is no eye contact such a negative impact?
Because it seems like it's a lack of confidence.
Yep, 100%. Confusion on topic and procrastination. Yeah. So confusion on topic. Okay. Leaders need to be professional in all aspects of their life. So if they're not all over a topic and they're, presenting ideas or delivering training or those sorts of things, excessive intimidation, bullying, okay, then what that does is lowers the trust that people have in that person. They don't trust the decision because they believe that the leader is incompetent. So it's really important that when you're dealing with people, particularly like we're going into businesses that you may not have familiarity with, you may have familiarity with, but you need to understand that business. If you're going to have a conversation with that business, say, hey, we're going to bring GovCon in, or we're going to put some AI automation stuff in, you need to understand those things so that you can have the robust conversation with the people that you're going to be leading. And that's all part of your development. Okay, so if you identify that you have a lack of confidence in an area that is important to you as a leader and your business, then it's the onus is on you to do the work to get up to speed in that. Okay. Now, yes, that can start with videos and stuff like that, but eventually you're going to have to talk to people. And leaders, the big thing about leaders is talking to people. All right. And understanding where they're coming from so it can shape the environment to achieve the outcomes as a win-win for all. Okay, so just go a few minutes. Procrastination, absolutely. Just sends a weak signal, much like we're talking about. Over talking, 100%. All right. The more you listen, so the old adage is you've got 2 ears, 1 mouth, okay, which means listen twice as much as you speak. Very, very important. Excess intimidation, bullying. Look, we all like to work and be in businesses where that doesn't occur, but it is a fact of life. if you see yourself doing these things, and the HR reports are coming through that your behaviour is being disruptive, then the onus is on you to look in the mirror, give yourself an uppercut, and go, "I've been a dick," all right, and then reshape yourself. Now, most bullies and intimidation type people will never do that because they're not leaders. They are literally bullies and in the workplace. All right. I'm not going to go too much into that right now because we could spend ages on that one. Yeah. All right. Good work, team. Good work. So, with all the things that you've put down, they're not moral judgments. They're behavioral signals that shape trust. All right. So, for you guys, if you're in an environment where some of these things are coming up and they're coming from you, then once again, the onus is on you. If they are coming from somebody else in your team or your organization, family, then you have two choices. Ignore it and let it slide, or two, stand up and do something about it. All right. And a lot of times it's just a simple one-on-one conversation with the person in private. Say, "Hey, mate," or, partner, female, male, doesn't matter. "Hey, mate, I've seen this from you and the result has been this." And a lot of times, and I'm not saying all time, but a lot of times people go, "Really? I didn't even realize." And it's not until you actually stand in front of them and say, "Hey, this is happening because of what you're doing." Might not be exactly those terms, use it in your own words, okay? But the key principle is to let them know. And then let their actions show you who they are and what the results are. Because if they don't change, then you need to escalate that up and either get them out of the company or get them retrained, move them out of the system, because you don't need people like that in your system, because what you're trying to do is build loyalty and high-functioning teams, and intimidation and bullying destroys those environments. All right. So this is where you'll have to have a hard conversation with the person if their behavior doesn't change. If it's yourself, then you've got to have a hard conversation with yourself. And if somebody's bringing that to you, respect their strength and courage to come to you about your behavior, because you might be in denial about it. It's not easy to do, right? But if you're going to be a leader of integrity and courage, then this is something that you need to do, if it's you. All right. All right. So what we're going to do is a performer habit swap, okay? So we just talked about destructive habits. So what I want you to do in pen paper or online is choose one destructive habit that you have, then answer these questions, which is, when does it happen? What triggers it? And what leadership behavior will replace it? Let me know with a 1 in chat if that's clear. Yep, I can do that. So choose one destructive habit, just one, then answer these questions around that destructive habit. Is when does it happen? What triggers it? What leadership behavior will replace it? All right, team. So you may have finished, you may not have. That's okay. We're going to do what we did before, which is go to the tables 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. All right. So what I want you to do is evenly distribute yourself like before on those tables, and in your breakout groups, just share. Each person share what your destructive habit is, when it happens, what your replacement behavior is, and why this matters. All right, so I'll just put into text what that is. So please head to a table. You can use the same partner, same tables if you want. It's up to you guys. Looks like a few people have some things going on. Okay, team, start wrapping up your conversations, and when give it about a minute or so, and head back into the main classroom. All right, team, welcome back. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to put a something in chat, which is naming the habit which was harder, replacing it was harder, or naming the habit was harder? Which was it for you? Okay, Kendra says naming. Bree has replacing. Would anybody like to share on comms why they chose the answer?
For me, I put replacing because I'm still trying to figure out how I can replace a destructive habit of holding grudges.
Yeah.
Usually it's there for a reason. Or I have a grudge on you for a reason.
Okay. What's worked for me is looking at the behavior that I'm holding a grudge against and go, why? What's my reason for it? First of all, because your grudge, unless you're interacting with that person consistently, has no impact on them. It only has an impact on you. Okay. So the question is, if you're holding a grudge, that sounds like you do not accept their behavior because their behavior has caused you to hold a grudge, because of the impact that it's had on you. Okay. So it's about deciding within yourself. Now, I'm not saying this is going to work for every case either, because sometimes grudges have purpose, right? Because you don't want to be around that person. Okay. The hard part is family members. Okay. And it's about identifying within yourself the source or the reason for the grudge and whether or not it is serving you or not serving you. And so that you have the choice to let go of that internal monologue within your mind about that person or situation and forgive. Like, when I say forgive, it's quite powerful to forgive yourself for the impact that has had on your life. It's not forgiving the person's behavior, because it's about your reaction to their behavior and understanding the impact it has on you. I did this myself many years ago. I was driving. I was on a 6-hour drive, and I don't listen to the radio when I drive often. So I was just working around in my head about, just thinking about stuff. And my father came up, and we had some issues when I was growing up. And I started thinking about those things, and I literally, uncontrollably, just started crying, like tears for a good 5-10 minutes were just streaming down my face. And at the time, I had no understanding what it was, because what I said was, I said in my mind to my father that I forgive him. And it was one of the most powerful events I've had in my life. And I can't give you a rational reason of why it occurred like that. It just did. And afterwards, I just felt so much lighter. All right. So, kind of what I rationalized later was it's about the honesty within yourself is going, you know what? I've got to let that go. And it's about finding the way that works for you. That's the way it works for me. I'm not saying that's going to work for you, but it may be worth a try when the time is right. I hope that helps you a little bit, Bree. Okay.
It does. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Particularly if that grudge is impacting where you want to be and who you want to be. All right. That's going to call for some deep, soul searching, mental adjustments to deal with that in such a way that it no longer impacts you the way that it does. And that's why forgiveness works really well, because what it does is it takes that energy impact that event has on you and de-escalates it so that you're not so, I'm going to use the word intimidated, but I don't think that's the right word. You're not so intimidated by the events and the grudge that you hold. So I hope that helps you.
But can you say that and like, what if you don't really feel it inside, even though you're saying it?
Don't do it. Don't do it. If you don't feel it, don't do it. You can try saying it to see how it feels and go, you know what, I'm just faking it. All right? Because it has to, whenever you do any of this sort of work, you have to be ready to do it, and it has to be right for you, because it might not be right for you to do it in that fashion. I'm just telling you guys a way that worked for me. All right? And the whole impetus of doing this type of stuff is to find the things that are impacting your behavior, your language, and your environment to go, you know what? That is really screwing me over. I need to do something about that. All right? And that's what leaders do. They identify the things that are holding them back, and they take an action that is appropriate for them to deal with the situation. Okay? And a lot of this is internal work. It's not actual face-to-face. Like, some of it needs to be face-to-face, but most of it is your internal work, internal thinking and behaviors that you need to address, because that other person has no visibility of the impact. Hang on, let me rephrase it. Some of them may, because that's the type of person. Others have no idea about what they've done, and they think everything's fine. But you've got this internal dialogue running that's just running strips off you. And that's the important bit, because it's your stuff. It's your reactions. It's not theirs, because they don't give a stuff. Right? So it's about becoming honest and understanding how you operate and how you work and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable for you. All right, so I hope that was beneficial for you guys on this particular part. We're going to move on to, we've got about probably another 10 minutes, I reckon. All right. So what we're going to talk about is habit automation. Okay, so great leaders do not rely on motivation. They rely on systems. A system is a behavior that happens even when you're tired, stressed, or distracted. One of the most powerful systems is a system called habit stacking, where you attach a new behavior to a behavior you already do automatically. So, for example, after I open my laptop, I'll check my top 3 priorities rather than going to TikTok or Facebook and doom scrolling and stuff like that. After I finish a meeting, I will write one learning sentence. So, for example, after this, you could write one learning sentence or one activity, which you already have, okay, from the habits we talked about before. And also, after I log into Teams or any communication system like this, I'll send one recognition message. So let's design your first automated leadership habit. Okay. So On a piece of paper or notepad, write your habit stack using this formula. After I, existing behavior or trigger, I will, and that will be a leadership behavior. So what I'll do is I'll put this into the chat so you can see it. There's chat going on. There it is. All right, so I've chucked that into the chat. So take 2 minutes to craft your best version. All right, so in 2 minutes I'll come back and we'll ask you to paste your habit stack into the chat, okay? Because what I want to do is create some accountability and help refine your thinking. Okay, team, I've only given you a really short time to work on that. I know that. But what I'd like to do is place in chat what you came up with. Because remember, I want to create some accountability for you and help refine your thinking. And that'll be yes, Kendra. Just one. That's a good one, Kendra. When overwhelmed, breathing also helps. Like some deep breaths. Another one is have a glass of water. Because what it does, you feel overwhelmed in the moment, but giving your brain time to process what it's feeling overwhelmed about by having these short breaks gives it time to process. And you'll find that you'll start to calm and feel more relaxed, and then you can apply your intellect to the problem. It's another good one, Bree. Remember, for leaders generally focus on what Bree's saying, top 2 to 3 priorities for the day. So, Pranir, you've got, after I sleep late, I will sleep late one day, but sleep early the next day. Okay. That's particularly important if you're feeling fatigued. Sleep routine is so important to your health, and creating a regular habit around that has significant benefits for you as a person and the way you think. Sorry about that, I just had a phone call come in. And taking the time to think off of logic and not how I'm feeling. Yep. Think off of logic and not how I'm feeling. Yep. All right, team. Yeah. With the logic and feeling, sometimes your gut instincts are correct. But if you can use logic with your feelings as well, you'll be a powerhouse. Okay? Because feelings have a place. So does logic. All right. So we're going to move on. Because I can see Seth is starting the next meeting. All right. So to wrap up, you're gonna have a reflection for this week. With the reflection, write for 2 minutes. What habit strengthens your leadership right now? What habit quietly undermines it? What behaviour will you automate this week? All right. Sorry, team. Just got to attend to something really quickly. Sorry about that, team. I had to let somebody in for mum's personal care, so I'm back. Okay, so I'll put those things into the chat. A second. I need to wrap up. All right. So all of these things feed into the reflection log and your leadership action plan. The more honest you are today, the more powerful your assessment will be. All right. And like I said right at the start, the assessment is more of a guide. A lot of this work you're doing will put you in good places in the future. All right. As long as you are honest with yourself and apply what you feel is right for you. So leadership is what you repeat. Today you designed the first version of your leadership operating system. So team, great work today, and everyone. I hope you've gotten something out of it. All right. Just in regards to the assessments, all right. I just want to pause here and open the floor for any questions about habits, language upgrades, the habit stack, or how this links to your assessments. Feel free to come on comms or put it in chat. So before we close, I want to show you how today's work connects directly into next week. So week 4 is all about purpose and clarity, your internal compass. Today, you built the behaviors. Next week, you'll build the directions those behaviors point towards. All right, think of it this way. Week 3 is your operating system. Week 4 is your navigation system. Both are required for effective leadership. Okay. So as you step into this week, I want you to genuinely test the habit stack and you created. Treat it like a 7-day leadership experiment. Next week, I may ask for a few volunteers to share what they've noticed. And before we finish, type this into chat. What is one behavior I will repeat every day this week? This anchors your leadership identity through action. Okay. All right, team. I'm going to wrap it up there. We've got to move. Looks like some people have already moved. And thank you for your attendance today. Thank you for your input. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care. And James out.